Good day everyone, I'm your discussant for today. I am Miss Ayomedian. I hope everyone are feeling good. And I'm expecting for you to learn from what I'm going to discuss about. So this is just another information regarding on what they discussed earlier about the shift from educational focus from content to learning outcome. I'm just giving additional information on the measurement, interest, and assessment. Without further ado, let us proceed to our discussion. Let me read first before I am going to discuss. Additional information on the measurement. The quantity that we intend to measure is called measurand. Whether one uses an objective or subjective assessment procedure, the underlying principle in educational measurement is summarized by the following formula. Measurement of quantity or quality of interest is equal to the true value plus random error. So it says here that this is the physical quantity or the result of the measurements that instructor did or used for his or her students. It is the total outcome of it. So why measurement and measurand are important? It is because the instructor know how to adjust based on the level of the knowledge of his or her students or learners. So it can be depends on what measurement that instructor must use, like what they discussed earlier, either an objective or the subjective measurement. It is what teachers use as a technique in teaching. We have also the two concepts of interest. Let's find out of what are those. First is the true value of the quality. The objective of a measurement is to obtain the true value of the measurand. Every effort is made to optimize the measurement procedure in such a way that the measured value is as close as possible to the true value. What does it mean? It means that it is an objective of the measurement is to estimate the possible true value of the quantity of interest. After knowing the measurand and the outcome of it, instructor have the idea what the students' interest based on their knowledge. It is more on activities or drama or even a subject matter. The other one concept of interest is random error component. Error can have either positive or negative sign. But then remember, the true value of the quantity and the error component are both unknown to us. Therefore, it cannot be used in practice for characterizing the quality of our measurement result. So it says here that these two components are unknown to us, or we can't use this as practice. However, on the other country or schools are maybe they are using this technique or way to know the interest of their learners. We just need to know this for us to become aware. But it says here that we can use this practice to our schools or for us. Okay, let's move on to the methods of assessment. The first method of assessment was assessment of skill. It is relatively easier than assessment of understanding and other mental ability. And the skill assessment can be practiced, readily available, and demonstrable. So let's find out what assessment of skill means. So based on what I've read, assessment of skill is more easier than the other one method, which is the assessment of understanding. This method can be practiced. Example of assessment of skill was writing a poem. Instructor give an activity to the learners, which is writing poem or even essay. So on that way, instructor can assess how his or her learners are good in writing of poem, or some others must prefer writing essays. So next, it can says that assessment of skill must be readily available. So readily available, it means that you don't waste your time to find any instrument or things to use. Like what I'm giving give example in writing essays and poem. We can simply use the paper, notebooks with a pencil or ball pen for you to write. It is just on what available things. So anytime you can assess their skills. Next is demonstrable. It is clearly way or capable of being logical proof. Students can prove if they are capable or good in writing poems and essays, or they are not. So that is the assessment of skill. We can assess the students based on their skill. After knowing their interests, of course, we just need to assess them based on what skill that they have. Let's proceed to the next method of assessment. The second method of assessment is assessment of understanding. It is much more complex. We can assess a person's knowledge in a number of ways, but we need to infer from certain indicators of understanding through written descriptions. So it simply means that assessment of understanding, it says that this is more complex. Why? Because it needs more technique. Example, solving problem in math. You need to understand carefully the problem before you can solve it. Think critically what formula you can use. Another example is experiment. Those science majors, they need a lot of time to understand the experimentation before they can do what experiment they can provide. So this assessment of understanding, they can give them assessment based on their understanding.
Hello everyone, my name is Frelian Sagiped de los Santos, Group 7 Discussants. My task is to discuss the remaining slide as a continuation of what our facilitator, Miss Ayel Maydian, discussed a while back. Additional information about formative assessment. There are two types of formative assessment. The first one is pre-test or pre-assessment. The pre-test or pre-assessment is given to the student before the class discussion. The purpose of the pre-test or pre-assessment is for the teacher to determine the entry knowledge or skills so that they will know how to adjust instruction, and also for them to know the prior knowledge of the student to the topic that they will discuss. The next is the post-test or post-assessment. Post-test or post-assessment is a type of formative assessment that will be given to the student after the class discussion. The purpose of post-test or post-assessment is to find out if the intended learning outcome has been attained after the teaching-learning process. It is a type of formative assessment wherein you can find or determine whether you achieve the intended learning outcome, which is the product of teaching and learning. Let us proceed to the objectives of evaluation. The first is to determine the deficiencies so that the appropriate inventions can be done. So, evaluation is done for the teachers to determine the other needs of the students for them to find ways to provide those needs for their students. The second is to analyze learning materials, student learning and achievement, and teacher effectiveness. So, evaluation is also needed for the teacher to know if he or she is effective in imparting the knowledge to his or her students. The next is to identify success factors, programs, and projects. Lastly, to measure the success of curriculum. So, evaluation is really needed for us to determine whether the projects, programs, or curriculum that was implemented by the institutions or faculty members was effective in helping the students as well as the teachers to be successful in improving teaching and learning. That ends our discussion. Thank you so much and God bless. Keep safe, everyone.